In this video, you'll discover the untold stories of three very different fighters from history. A Soviet woman who became a tank driver to avenge her husband. A French pirate who became Spain's worst nightmare. And a Native American rebel who stood up for his people during and after the Civil War. These are not just stories, they are lessons in courage, revenge, and what happens when ordinary people refuse to back down. Get ready to hear the stories of three fearless rebels who turned pain into power and carved their revenge into history. Maria Oktyabrskaya, the fighting girlfriend. This is the story of a brave Soviet woman named Maria Oktyabrskaya who lived during World War II. Her life started happily when she married a handsome army officer named Ilya in 1925. She loved her husband and was a proud military wife, even training to be an army nurse. They were together for 14 wonderful years. In 1941, Germany attacked the Soviet Union during World War II. This event changed everything for Maria and Ilya. Ilya, who was Maria's husband, was sent to fight in the war. He went to the front lines to defend their homeland. Maria, on the other hand, was forced to leave her home in Kiev. She was sent far away to Siberia for safety. Maria missed Ilya very much. She waited every day for a letter from him. Days turned into weeks, then months, and still no news came. For 2 years, she hoped that Ilya was still alive. She prayed that one day, a letter from him would arrive, but sadly, that letter never came. In 1943, Maria finally received the news she had feared. She was told that Ilya had died in battle. He had been killed while defending their city, Kiev, from the German army. The loss broke Maria's heart. She had loved Ilya deeply, and now he was gone forever. At first, Maria felt nothing but deep sadness. But soon, her sadness turned into something else, anger. She was angry at the Germans for taking her husband from her. Her heart burned with a strong desire for revenge. She did not want to just sit and cry. She wanted to do something. Maria made a brave and shocking decision. She sold everything she owned. She gave up all her personal belongings, her furniture, her clothes, even small things that reminded her of Ilya. She turned all of it into money. She was ready to give everything she had for one purpose. With that money, Maria donated it all to the Red Army, the military force of the Soviet Union. Her donation was so large that it was enough to pay for a new tank. It was not just any tank, it was a T-34, one of the most powerful tanks used by the Soviets in the war. But Maria had one strong request. She wrote a letter to the army, and in that letter, she said she wanted to drive the tank herself. She did not want someone else to fight in her place. She wanted to be the one who would use the tank against the Germans. Most people would think the military would say no. After all, Maria was a woman and had no army training. But to everyone's surprise, the army said yes. They agreed to let her drive the tank. They saw her passion and bravery, and they respected her decision. Maria began her training to become a tank driver. She worked hard and learned everything quickly. She trained day and night because she was determined to fight. This was not just about war for her. It was about love, loss, and revenge. When she finally went to battle, Maria was not afraid. She carried Ilya's memory in her heart. She fought not just as a soldier, but as a wife who had lost the person she loved most. She showed great courage and strength in every mission. Maria's story became well known. People looked up to her because of her sacrifice and bravery. She had lost everything, but she used her pain to help others. She turned her grief into action, and her story inspired many. After 5 months of tough training, Maria, now a sergeant, became the driver and mechanic of her new tank. She named it the Fighting Girlfriend and had the words painted right on the turret. Her male crew members first thought she was a joke or a publicity stunt, but Maria quickly proved them wrong. In battle, she skillfully drove the tank, destroying German machine gun nests and artillery. When her tank's tracks were hit and disabled in the middle of a battle, Maria leapt out under a storm of enemy fire, disregarding all orders to fix them, saving her crew. She did this multiple times, earning the complete trust and respect of her men. However, her luck ran out in January 1944. While fixing her tank's tracks again during a night battle, she was hit in the head by shell fragments and knocked unconscious. She fell into a coma and died 2 months later. her tour of vengeance lasted just 1 year. Because of her incredible bravery, Maria was posthumously honored as a hero of the Soviet Union. Francois Lolonois, the cruel buccaneer. Francois Lolonois was one of the most feared pirates in the Caribbean. His real name was Jean-David No. He was born in France in the year 1630. His family was very poor, so he did not have an easy life. When he was still young, he was sent to the Caribbean. There, he was forced to work as an indentured servant. This means he had to work like a slave for a few years to pay off a debt. He worked on a plantation, which is a big farm where people grow crops. Life there was hard and painful. He had to work all day in the hot sun with little rest. But after many years, around 1650, he was finally set free. He no longer had to work for others and could do what he wanted. Once he was free, Francois had no home, no money, and no job. He wandered around for a while, trying to find something to do. Then he met a group of buccaneers. These were men who had started out as hunters on islands like Hispaniola, but they later became pirates. The Spanish made hunting too difficult, so the men turned to stealing from ships. Francois joined the buccaneers and quickly became a strong and skilled pirate. He was smart, tough, and cruel. He hated the Spanish, maybe because of how badly they treated people like him. So he made it his mission to attack only Spanish ships and towns. He became known for his bravery but also for being very violent. He captured many ships and made a lot of money. He would sail along the coast, hiding and waiting for the right moment to strike. Spanish sailors began to fear him. They called him the flail of the Spanish because of how much damage he caused. His name alone made people afraid. Francois was not just a pirate, he was also a leader. Other pirates followed him and trusted him in battles, but he was also very cruel. When he captured people, he often tortured them to make them talk. He wanted to know where gold and treasure were hidden. His methods were so violent that even other pirates thought he went too far. One time, he attacked a Spanish town and captured many people. He asked them where the treasure was. When they refused to tell him, he hurt them in terrible ways. He wanted to scare others so they would give him what he wanted. This made him famous but also hated. Francois became rich from all the stealing and fighting. But his luck didn't last forever. On one trip, his ship crashed on the coast of Central America. He and his crew tried to survive by going into the jungle. There, they were attacked by a local tribe. The tribe captured Francois and his men. The people were angry because of how badly pirates had treated them. They decided to take revenge. They killed Francois in a very violent way, ending his terrifying life. Even after his death, people remembered him. His name lived on in pirate stories. He became known as one of the cruelest pirates in history. Some people feared him. Others were amazed by how far he had come from being a poor servant. Francois Lolonois showed how a man with nothing could rise to great power. But his story also shows how cruelty and violence can lead to a terrible end. He lived a life full of danger, but in the end, he paid the price for his actions. Francois finally felt like he belonged. The buccaneers gave him the name Francois Lolonois and treated him like family. For a few years, life was great as they raided Spanish ships. Then, a catastrophe struck. Francois and his crew were shipwrecked and ambushed by Spanish soldiers. It was a massacre, and Francois was the only one who survived by hiding among his dead friends, smeared in their blood. Watching the dead bodies of the only people who had ever shown him kindness caused him to snap. His pain turned into an extreme, focused hatred for the Spanish. He got a new ship and crew, and his revenge began. He no longer just wanted gold, he wanted to terrorize the Spanish. When the governor of Cuba sent a ship of 90 soldiers to capture him, Francois captured the soldiers instead. He personally lined them up and beheaded 89 of the 90 men with his sword, letting the single survivor go with a terrifying message. He would never show mercy to any Spaniard and hoped to do the same to the governor himself. He became infamous for horrific forms of torture, like cutting pieces of flesh off his victims or tightening a rope around their necks until their eyes popped out. He always left just one survivor to tell the horrific tale. In his final expedition to Honduras in 1667, his luck finally ran out. He was chased and attacked by natives, until he was finally caught by the Guna people in Panama. They didn't show him any mercy. They cut him to pieces while he was still alive and burned his remains to ash. Henry Barry Lowry, the Robin Hood of Robeson County. Henry Berry Lowry was a young boy from the Lumbee tribe in North Carolina. He lived in a place called Robeson County. When the American Civil War started in 1861, he was only 16 years old. At that time, life was very hard for his people. The Lumbee were treated badly, and many were forced to work without pay. The Confederate Army made the Lumbee do heavy work, like building forts and digging. They didn't care about the Lumbee's rights. Rich white landowners treated them unfairly. The Lumbee were seen as free people of color, but they were not treated equally under the law. Henry's father, Allen Lowry, was a hard-working man. He didn't want trouble, but people still didn't trust him because of his background. In 1864, a Confederate official named James P. Barnes said that Allen had stolen pigs. But there was no real proof. It was just an excuse to punish him. At that time, if you were not white, you couldn't get a fair trial. White juries didn't believe the words of Native people or African Americans. If Allen went to court, he would likely be found guilty, even if he was innocent. And the punishment for stealing pigs could be death. Henry loved his father very much. He didn't want to see him punished for something he didn't do. Henry was only 19 years old, but he was brave. In December 1864, he took his rifle and shot James Barnes. After that, he had to run and hide. He had become an outlaw. Henry went into hiding in the swamps and forests around his home. He knew the land well and used it to stay safe. Other people who were also treated badly joined him. Together, they formed a group to fight back. They wanted justice for their families and freedom from unfair treatment. This group became known as the Lowry Gang. They didn't just hide. They fought back against the people who hurt their community. They attacked rich landowners and Confederate officers. They stole weapons and gave food and money to poor families. Many people in the Lumbee community supported Henry. They saw him as a hero. He was fighting for their rights when no one else would. But the white leaders in the area were angry. They wanted him caught or killed. For years, Henry and his group avoided capture. They were smart and moved often. They never stayed in one place for too long. Many people tried to stop them, but no one could catch Henry. He became a legend. Some saw him as a criminal, but others saw him as a freedom fighter. He didn't steal for himself. He fought against unfairness. He believed that everyone should be treated the same, no matter their race. One day, Henry disappeared. No one knows what really happened to him. Some say he was killed. Others say he escaped and started a new life far away. His body was never found, so his ending remains a mystery. Even today, Henry Berry Lowry is remembered by many people, especially the Lumbee. He showed courage in the face of injustice. His story is about standing up for what is right, even when it is dangerous. The plantation elites were furious and sent the Home Guard, a group of powerful, often brutal, Confederate thugs to terrorize the Lumbee. When a Home Guard leader, James Brantley Harris, murdered 3 of Henry's cousins and was set free by the courts, Henry took justice into his own hands again and killed Harris in January 1865. The ultimate act of revenge against Henry was horrific. In March 1865, the Home Guard raided the Lowry farm, arrested Henry's father and brother, held a quick, fake trial, and shot both men dead while Henry watched. Hidden and powerless, sitting with their lifeless bodies, Henry vowed vengeance. He formed the Lowry Gang. They began to steal from the wealthy plantations and, importantly, started sharing the food and supplies with the poor people in the county, earning him a reputation as a hero to the poor and an outlaw to the rich. After the war ended in 1865, Henry tried to return to a peaceful life, but the elites had him arrested. After escaping jail, he realized his dream was impossible. The gang became deadly. Starting in 1869, they hunted down and systematically executed the most racist people in town, including the local sheriff. The government put a massive $12,000 bounty on Henry's head, worth about $300,000 today. When the authorities captured the wives of the Lowry Gang, Henry sent a chilling note demanding their release in 3 days, threatening the bloodiest times if they weren't freed. The local citizens, terrified, forced the release of the wives. In 1872, Henry and his gang pulled off their biggest heist, stealing $22,000. After this, Henry Berry Lowry disappeared. No one knows what happened to him. Some rumors said he accidentally shot himself. Others said he ran west and lived out his life. The most telling fact is that despite the huge bounty, no one ever claimed the reward, suggesting the poor people he helped remained loyal to their hero. Maria, Francois, and Henry came from different worlds, but they all made one choice. They fought back. Maria gave everything to strike against the enemy who took her love. Francois became a monster to destroy the people who broke him. Henry stood alone against a racist system and became a legend. Each of them paid a price, but their stories still echo through time, reminding us that even one person, fueled by pain or passion, can shake the world. If these stories moved you, give this video a like, drop a comment telling us who inspired you the most, and share it with someone who needs to hear what real courage looks like.